Welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be focusing on finding the distance between 2 points using the distance formula. We're going to show this mastery in class by scoring at least a 70% on an exit ticket. Hopefully you have the note sheet in front of you. If you don't, take out a blank sheet of paper. That way you can still take the notes and we'll get you a fresh copy tomorrow. Now, when we talk about the distance formula, it's like when we used midpoint and had to find x1 and y1 for our coordinate points and x2 and y2. The only difference is it is a different formula. Our formula is now going to be x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. If we look at our first problem, we are just given a graph, so the first thing we need to do is find our points. This point is at -5, 3, and my second point is at -2, -3. Now make sure you label your points, that way we don't forget we have x1, y1, x2, and y2. And now I'm going to use the formula, my square root of x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. x1 is -5 minus x2 is -2 squared plus my y1 is 3 minus y2 is -3. So from here we want to simplify it down. -5 minus -2 becomes -3 squared, and I'm going to leave that in parentheses. That way, when we go to type it in the calculator, we don't forget to use the parentheses and end up with a negative number, because when we square it, we always want positive. Distance is always positive. From here, 3 minus -3 gives me 6 squared. Well, -3 squared is 9, 6 squared is 36, and it gives me the square root of 45, which is approximately 6.71. Now, the one thing to keep in mind, distance is always going to be positive. You can only ever drive a positive distance. You cannot drive a negative distance. Even if you backtrack, it still goes positive. If we look at example 2, we want to find AB. When it says AB, that's asking the distance between point A and point B. So I'm going to label my points, x1, y1, x2, and y2. So again, I'm going to use my distance formula, and I'm going to write it to remind myself, x1 minus x2 squared, y1 minus y2 squared. So if I fill in my numbers, I'm now going to say -4 minus 3 squared, and 1 minus -1 squared. Well, -4 minus 3 gives me -7 squared, 1 minus -1 gives me 2 squared. Again, we're still just simplifying it down. We get 49 plus 4, because again, distance has to be positive, so when we square it, we want a positive number. It gives me the square root of 53, which is about 7.28. Again, the biggest thing I cannot stress, when you do distance formula, make sure it is positive. The last one, we want to find EF. We have E at -7, -2, and F at 11, 3. So x1, y1, x2, y2. If we use the distance formula, and yes, I'm going to keep writing it each time, and I am going to ask that you guys do it, because this is one formula that's not on your formula sheet that you do have to know. The more you write it down, the more you're going to memorize it, and the more you're going to know it. So now I have the square root of -7 minus 11 squared, and -2 minus 3 squared. Well, this gives me a square root of -18 squared plus -5 squared. That becomes 324 plus 25, which gives me the square root of 349. And that is approximately 18.68. Again, the hardest part about distance is just memorizing that formula. Once you have the formula done, it's just a matter of using your algebra skills and plugging it in to solve for your answer. Please bring your notes and any questions you have to class tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you then.